My name is Richard Vargas, and I am going to be hosting this reading, a celebration of poetry on this, the last day of National Poetry Month. Briefly, just to introduce myself, I was born and raised in Southern California. I was born in Compton. I received my bachelor's at Cal State University, Long Beach, studied under Gerald Laughlin. In 2010, I graduated from the MFA Creative Writing program at the University of New Mexico. I've also been a recipient of the 2011 Taos Summer Writers Conference's Hispanic Writer Award. I was on the faculty of the 2012 10th National Latino Writers Conference, and I've facilitated workshops throughout the years. I have 3 books published. The first is McLife in 2005, American Jesus in 2007. Guernica Revisited was published in 2014. And I have a 4th collection coming out late summer of this year, How a Civilization Begins, and that is going to be with Mouthfeel Press. I've edited and published the Tequila Review from 1977 to 1980, and the Más Tequila Review from 2009 to 2015. And currently I'm here in Monona, Wisconsin, just east of Madison, Wisconsin. I would like to thank Maria Miranda Maloney and Mouthfeel Press for their support. They're providing their Zoom and technical expertise to assist us in keeping this reading going smoothly. It's a bilingual press. You can look up her catalog at mouthfeelbooks.com. She's currently looking for authors with something to publish, and if you think you would be a good fit, I would recommend reaching out to her. I want to thank the viewers, those of you joining us. Without you, without the audience, we're just a bunch of poets reading poems to each other. And that's okay. I've done that before, but it's so much better when we have you to share the experience. So thank you for joining us. Again, it is National Poetry Month. Hopefully you bought 1 book of poetry in the last 30 days. If not, if you hear something that you really like during this reading, hit up the authors. They're all available online. Amazon also is a good resource. Jeff Bezos makes those books available for the public. So the purpose of this reading is to celebrate the Más Tequila Review. It's more of a reunion in poetry and fellowship. I'm not going to start publishing the magazine again, at least not for now. If somebody wanted to hit me up and say, I'd like to join you and maybe we can do this again, I'd be willing to listen, but as a one-man operation, I think it's probably too much for me at this point. Each poet is going to read for 10 minutes. And we want to emphasize 2 things. A, it's all about the poem. The poem is first. I've always felt that the poet is a vessel to give birth to the poem. And so when the poem finally is completed, when it's born and enters the world, that's where the emphasis is. And also the mantra that I've had all through the years is poetry for the rest of us. Poetry should be relevant. It should be lively. We should be able to read it to somebody on the street and for them most of the time to say, yeah, I understand that. I get it. And that's the element that I look for in a good poem. So this reading is about poetry for the rest of us. Our first reader is going to be Mary Oishi. She appeared in issues 3 and 9 of the Más Tequila Review. She currently is the Poet Laureate of Albuquerque. She's the author of Spirit Birds, They Told Me, and co-author of Rock, Papers, Scissors, Swimming with Elephants Press 2018, which was a finalist for the New Mexico Arizona Book Award. She will have a new collection published next year as part of the University of New Mexico Press Poet Laureate Series. Her work appears in numerous print and digital publications nationally and internationally. She's a DJ for a blues radio show on Santa Fe Radio. And she's been an instructor at the University of New Mexico and the Taos Writers Conference. And she's a new grandmother, so I want to extend my congratulations to her at this time. Mary, you have the mic.
Thank you so much, Richard. The new grandmother thing is just like less than a week old, so it's kind of exciting. I will start out with the shortest form of poetry, but not the oldest. And I wrote this while I was house sitting in Santa Fe for my daughter while she was going to get medical treatment. And it snowed a little bit that day, and it was right before Russia invaded. In fact, it was the day before Russia invaded Ukraine. Today, not one bird, thin snow caps on everything, the hush before war. Most of my poems have to do with wars of one kind or another, but this one is probably the most personal. It's called Tokyo Untold. You never said they use napalm. You never told me that, Mom. The day I found out in an email was the same day I came down with the worst flu I had in 30 years. My coworkers said I looked ashen. I know I didn't quite make it to the commode. I was retching. God, was I sick. They use napalm. You never told me that, Mom. Aunt Haruna told me, me and your mother, we were watching our neighbor boy. He went crazy with all the bombing. He kept going out and waving at the airplanes. Me and your mother, we were watching, laughing at him. He was so crazy. Then somebody leaned out of one of the airplanes and took his head right off with a machine gun, tat, 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 just like that. Then she laughed, that laugh that used to enrage the soldiers in Vietnam. You know that laugh, Mom, like it's all too horrible. You either run out and wave at airplanes or your two sisters howling from across the street. You never said they use napalm. There's a lot you never told me, Mom. What you did say stays with me fresher than September 11th, though I thought of it again that morning when I saw the people running terrified, their faces full of ash. What would they do if it was all of Manhattan, I thought. If the planes kept coming, then they'd know what my mother knew. The morning's shocking news sinks down in the guts by afternoon. And for me, every afternoon is still the afternoon of that day you told the story. I'll never forget it if I live to be 100. We just had quite the day in Japantown. You telling the shopkeepers, domo arigato. I used to buy lots of tapes with just one music, you said. But then he'd tell me, why you not get this one? It'd have 20 music. More cheaper, most cheapest one. So now I buy this one tape, get 20 music. We go have sushi lunch downstairs by the moat. I watch you stack your tiles, amazed that such a tiny woman can eat so much. It was delicious. It was a good day, Mom, remember? On the Bay Bridge, I asked that fateful question, the one my brothers never asked. What was it like, Mom? The war, what was it like? Oh, the planes just keep coming all night long, never stop. I was running through the streets everywhere, buildings on fire, the whole city burning. I was jumping over dead bodies as I run, girls my age, old people, little children. I not know why I was running anywhere I run too, just as dangerous as where I run from. I just run in sheer terror. Nobody could clean anything up. And the stench, ugh, it was the worst smell I ever smelled. Worst smell you could imagine. I just keep running and telling myself, I've got to live. I told your sons the night before you died, but I didn't say anything about napalm. I didn't know they used napalm. You never told me that, Mom. I guess you couldn't remember, or maybe you never knew. It took so long to tell me anything at all. And I was asked to read the poem that I have in Más Tequila, issue number 9, Proper Literature. I'm told, don't speak of politics. That's not a poet's job. Don't talk of war and grief and genocide. But my pen's possessed to moan these things. They kill so fast. My metaphors can't keep up with blood, no way. So maybe I won't write these words if you can tell me now, how many poems is one life worth? How many poems is one life worth these days? How many stanzas for each child? And maybe you can answer me just one more thing. How many graves does silence hide? I'll dance to see the day when I can put my ink to seed scattered on the banks where laughter flows. But until you stop your killing, I must follow you around, your bloody swords demanding to be ground in gritty nouns, in verbs that scream and flare. And there's some other wars besides the ones with guns. There's a war against the people who are seeking refuge here in the United States. So I wrote this very short one, hearkening back to my biblical training as a child. I was raised by some relatives who were way into that, but not into real goodness, unfortunately. This is called The Least of These. Jesus cries himself to sleep on the floor of a Walmart in Brownsville. Jesus cries himself to sleep on the floor of a Walmart in Brownsville. This one is the title track. See, I'm a DJ, right? The title poem of the book that's coming out from UNM Press next year. Sidewalk Cruise Ship. It's just an old sofa placed by the street, free for the taking, to make way for a newer, more up-to-date style. It's trash. She's a native woman on the street a long time. It's a hard life, always moving, always vigilant. That stress wears you, you know. Park bench is hard metal. Mission cot must be rented by enduring religious rebuke, promise of gold streets and mansions from people who could never do this, what she does every day, out on the hot asphalt all day long. They have no idea what it's like when your feet ache all the time at the bottom of much more gravity than your own weight. So beyond tired. Suddenly, life gifts her a big round sofa, a sidewalk cruise ship. She falls in half laughing, legs up over the fat sofa arm, feet floating weightless over the concrete sea. And I'll end with the oldest form of poetry, at least in Japan. It's called a tanka. And it's similar to a haiku, but haiku derived from this actually. It's 57577, but it doesn't have the same kind of restrictions as a haiku or the same purpose really. It was more like a song, and people would write them to their lovers the morning after. It was common to trade haiku, and everybody wrote them from the imperial palace all the way down. And I have, you know, just in the last year really enjoyed working with this form. So here it is. There is a time when the old writer falls asleep, pen still in drooped hand, falling in a wordless line off the page into darkness. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Richard, and thank you for attending. And thank you, Maria, for for all of it. And I look forward to hearing everyone else. Thank you.